Here, you're ready for your dose of reality. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the greatest show of the week, the Dr. Quack Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack, and
Al Bundy here, and I'm telling you, Peg made me watch this god-awful show. Oh my god. Can we just kill me now? I mean, I already sell shoes, and then I had to watch this.
oh boy, I'm telling you. You were forewarned in the previous video, but check this out. We're going to go over.
Oh, no damn. No damn.
Bash at the Beach 2000. Oh my God. Let me tell you. From when we last left off on the Great American Bash 96.
I guess I have to be serious for a little while.
Yeah.
So
Yes, Lance.
I apologize to Lance Storm. You do it much better. But we watched the Great American Bash 96, which was a month before the NWO became known as the NWO. And in the 4 years between that show and this show, the NWO had split into 3 factions, 2 other pretend factions. Eric Bischoff had been fired publicly on national television by Dr. Harvey Schiller, who, by the way, really did fire him for real.
Yes.
Then we get to see standards and practices, that is Vince Russo and Ed Ferreira, thinking they actually knew what was going on in wrestling, and they didn't. And then they get rid of Russo, they bring back Russo and Bischoff together, and that didn't work. Bischoff had left, and Vince Russo only had about a month or 2 left before this pay-per-view, which led to something actually even worse. It was John Laurinaitis and Terry Taylor, which was the last booking committee that caused the demise some 9 months later.
People power.
He wasn't even people power then. He was just a bad dynamic dude with a bad haircut and couldn't run a skateboard.
He really was. This took place in Daytona Beach in Florida. Commentary team here, Tony Schiavone, Mark Madden, and Scott Hudson.
And the less we say about Mark Madden, the better, but unfortunately we're not going to, because that guy had no filter and it was all horrible. For those of you that have seen what coffee grounds look like if you've run it 4 or 5 times through the same filter, this is Mark Madden. He brings nothing useful to the table at all. He has a face for radio, that's why he's on the radio.
I don't even know if he has a voice for radio sometimes. It's very bad.
But his face is invented for radio because we don't want to see what that guy looks like.
Yeah. You had Mean Gene Okerlund and Paula Paulshock.
Pamela Paulshock.
Oh, Pamela Paulshock, excuse me, yes. And let me tell you, yeah, she was worth looking at. Mean Gene, I don't know, he was going downhill on this one.
He had been going downhill for many, many years. This was just it sped up. He had just opened Mean Gene Burgers, which was an ill-fated, though very tasty, but ill-fated adventure. And amazingly enough, 9 months away from the death of WCW, the crowd, it was still a packed house. The crowd was still into it, and it wasn't just a one side. There was several camera views where you could see all the way around, and it was a packed crowd, amazingly enough.
This was when generally the whole consensus was that fans loved wrestling. You know, where you didn't hear too many people, complain about storylines. They just loved wrestling in general.
And speaking of that, let's go into the good match of the night, our first match.
Yeah, our first match here. Filthy Animals Juventud Guerrero taking on Lieutenant Loco from the MIA, Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah, poor Chavo. a very talented guy. I mean, he was always overshadowed by his uncle. Eddie Guerrero, by the way, for those 2 or 3 people who didn't get the reference there. This match, while a very good, very entertaining match, which he has brought up multiple times, WCW had 2 things that they did well. Cruiserweights and NWO. And this was a Cruiserweight match for the Cruiserweight Championship, but this thing was so horribly overbooked. Again, you could tell this was Vince Russo. He had an entire variety show. That, oh, by the way, they did have a wrestling match. The Filthy Animals came out there. They were banned from ringside. The MIA came out there. They were banned from ringside, which, since the ratings say not a lot of you saw that, at this time the Filthy Animals were led by Conan and had Juventud, Disco Inferno wearing a Kobe Bryant jersey, and Mark Madden called him the wordsmith. God, no. Rey Mysterio without his mask, so if you've never seen it, this was your time. Yeah. And they had broken up the Nitro Girls, and they had Tigress, who was one of the Nitro Girls, as part of the Filthy Animals. And the Misfits in action were led by Hugh Morris, who was known at this time as General Hugh G. Rection.
They got creative.
And then they had Tylene Buck, a porn star known as Major Guns, Major Stash, who was Van Hammer, Corporal Cajun, who was Lash LaRue, who's a much better artist, Lieutenant Loco, aforementioned Chavo Guerrero in this group, and this was just an overbooked mess around a good match. Both the teams came out with pretend masks on and got escorted away. And then we had a nice finish. So I hate to belabor this anymore. 3 stars, I'm sure you have a few things to say.
Oh yeah, this is definitely, a 3-star match. I felt like this was a great setting of the table. You know, this whole feast we're getting ready to go through was something that you didn't want to eat for the most part, but this one at least started out nicely.
And then we get the offal, and not awful as in bad wrestling, we get offal as in the insides of fish, because this came from Daytona Beach, and this was chum. This was awful.
Yeah, and this was pre-Juventud Guerrero getting arrested for taking too much ecstasy and fighting cops.
Ugh.
That was his demise in this company, because he was a good talent. He really was. But that really screwed up his whole career. Yeah, I gave that 3 stars. I felt like, this was a great start to the show. Unfortunately, it gets a little weirder. We get the hardcore title match here. Big Vito taking on Norman Smiley with Ralphus. For some of you that may not remember Ralphus, Ralphus was Chris Jericho's bodyguard back in the day.
And then he went to WCW and became Screaming Norman Smiley's bodyguard.
Yeah.
And the joke was that he was 5'9", about 340 pounds.
Holy Audi Batman.
Anyway, they did a tiny little package that Vito was supposed to work Terry Funk, and Terry Funk had decided to take some time off. So they pushed, we don't know who we're going to get, and we got Screaming Norman Smiley. And Big Vito decided to add Ralphus into the match to make it a handicap match. And if you couldn't see the writing on the wall, Ralphus got pinned, and Screaming Norman was in such a hurry to get to the ring, he walked and stopped a couple times.
You even got the big wiggle in there. I know that made y'all happy, didn't it, Al?
Oh, yeah. And this match really felt like they just heard about Owen Hart's hardcore style of hitting people with things like popcorn bags. They had bowls of little plastic bowls like you get in catering, and they were hitting each other with them. I mean, bad.
So what'd you give this match?
Because it was fairly short, I gave it 1 3/4 stars, but this was a big idea of just where we were going from here, when this is like the next best match.
Yeah, I gave it 2.5. I felt a little generous. I mean, there was a big wiggle in there, and it was funny as hell to me. But, overall, it was starting to go downhill very fast.
Yeah, which leads us into the next thing, the wedding gown match.
Oh, boy, go ahead.
This was Miss Hancock. For those of you that were not familiar with Miss Hancock, that's Stacy Keibler.
Yeah.
And she's taking on Daphne, who went over to TNA afterwards and stayed Daphne. And the two of them are in an evening gown match because the backstory is David Flair, yes, that David Flair, is supposedly engaged to Daphne and is hitting on Stacy Keibler, Miss Hancock. Well, in real life, David Flair and Stacy Keibler were dating in real life, behind the scenes.
Ric Flair, he was not.
No, his talent was not a talent, and they decided to fight in an evening gown match. And I can't give this match no stars. I gave it a half star, but this really felt like it was not a wrestling match. It felt like a hillbilly feud wedding where they ended up fighting in mud. And Daphne went over because Miss Hancock decided to take off her own clothes.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it a full star for Stacy Keibler. The only star in this match worth mentioning, watching. It was a giant goat. Let me tell you, it was a big cluster.
Yeah, this was definitely, you could tell Vince Russo had a thing for underwear because David Flair ended up in his underwear. The referee ended up in his underwear. Crowbar came out and took his own pants off. And then when Stacy Keibler starts dancing after she lost, they're all sitting in the corner to include the referee staring at her like drooling. I mean, it felt like this was supposed to be a porn show. Oh, it was god-awful.
And we even had an intermission there after this match.
Yeah, and there was a big wedding cake, and then they just started smearing wedding cake all over each other, which led to a 20-minute intermission after the third match because they had the enhancement talent out there trying to clean the mat, and they did such a horrible job, they just turned it over.
Nothing like an impromptu intermission. I mean, we need that in professional wrestling. That made me want to stick around and watch the rest of this pay-per-view.
And it gave Mark Madden way too much camera time.
Oh my God. No. Stop it.
Thank you. That's going to be my you smell moment. Not just the ring crew having to not be able to clean this up, so we kept Mark Madden on stage for 20 minutes.
You couldn't tell he's not very happy with watching this pay-per-view.
No, I'm trying to post a smile here, you remember? It's not working.
I've tried to talk him out of suicide after watching this. I know it's pretty bad, but...
Holy cow. 36 hours on suicide watch from this show.
Oh, God, it was horrible. The next up here, let's get beyond this. Tag team titles on the line. The Perfect Team, Chuck Palumbo and Sean Stasiak, taking on Chronic, Brian Clark and Brian Adams.
The Perfect Event was main event Chuck Palumbo and Perfect Something Sean Stasiak.
Oh, there you go. Whatever you want to call them, they sucked.
Well, and I'm going to put it to you like this. I want to tell you how good this match was.
Oh, boy.
Sean Stasiak went on to be meat. Chuck Palumbo went to be the less talented half of Chuck and Billy. And we had the previous exciting Brian Clark, who was Adam Baum.
Yep.
And the only one who actually is a decent worker in a very loose term from the standpoint of he's definitely the best worker in this match, head and shoulders, Brian Adams, who was Kona Crush and Demolition Crush and Jailbird Crush and...
Yeah, there was a lot of crushes in that one. Including this match. It crushed me just watching it.
And the Perfect Event came in. The champions thankfully left without the championships. 1.25 stars. This match was just a sloppy botch fest. About 8 minutes in, Brian Clark is so blown up you can see him punching like this because it's all the energy he's got left.
Yeah. I gave this 1.5 stars, just a little bit higher. Probably this was because pre-meat over there getting a boner on corporate television. Yeah, remember that crap.
Yeah, and this one, because of the 20-minute intermission, the crowd, this is the only time the crowd was totally silent.
Yeah, this was horrible. Good God. I mean, yes, for all you WCW fans, there was moments where I enjoyed it, and I'm sure you did too. This probably wasn't one of them, because next we had Positively Canyon against Booker T.
Yeah, this was, Chris Kanyon had an interesting career. He first came to really being well known as Mortis part of the Sinister Ministers group. Then he became Chris Kanyon, then he became Champagne Chris Kanyon, then he was tag teamed with Diamond Dallas Page and turned on Diamond Dallas Page because he thought Diamond Dallas Page was upstaging him. So he became a Diamond Dallas Page ripoff as Positively Kanyon. And this was Kanyon and Mark Madden in real life were friends. Mark Madden actually hates Diamond Dallas Page in real life. So Madden got in his ear, and that became something because Kanyon started hating DDP in real life. And Booker T, who was just trying to put over the story, is that he's defending Diamond Dallas Page because Diamond Dallas Page shows up and works hard. That's basically the story. Booker T thinks Diamond Dallas Page is a good guy, Chris Kanyon doesn't.
Yeah.
And, well, this match was good. The backstage segment right before this had Jeff Jarrett complaining that Hulk Hogan had to be seen. So he told Ernest Miller that he was going to ruin the show and came down and hit Booker T with a guitar. So Chris Kanyon wins in it was a better than a 2-star match. It really was only a 2-star match.
Yeah, it was basically there for me about 2.5. You know, it was good to see Slapnuts come out there and just.
No, it wasn't. It was not good to see.
I loved seeing Jeff Jarrett with that, you know, because that always made me proud to be a professional wrestler.
I liked Jeff Jarrett when he was not in front of the camera.
Yeah, you can tell we're really feeling this show here. U.S. title, Scott Steiner with, how do you say her name?
Medeja,
yeah. And she was definitely good to look at, I'll say that. Taking on Mike Awesome.
Mike Awesome had recently come over from ECW. They started the shades of the Fat Chick Thriller. Because Jeff Jarrett had been walking around with this woman who was a large woman dressed up in a Viking outfit. His whole thing was that the fat lady was going to sing and Hulk Hogan's career was going to be over. That was kind of the undertelling joke going on the whole night. And I really don't want to talk about this match. It was, again, stupid. There was so much crap. Every single one of these matches had like 35 storylines going on in there. You couldn't keep up with everything. The death of WCW was because they thought it was a variety show. They didn't realize it was a wrestling show. So they were going to give you 2 minutes of this, and 3 minutes of this, and 3 minutes of this, and 4 minutes of this over here. Oh my God. So one more segment that we didn't cover was Ernest Miller, who is the commissioner at this time, keeps getting chased around by 3 guys in Kung Fu outfits who are the Young Dragons. And they were upset at Ernest Miller for reasons. Go ahead, put up there. Reasons. There was no explanation, and when I looked it up in the history, there was no explanation of what they were mad at. So I guess because Young Dragons were supposed to be from Japan and he served Chinese food instead of Japanese food. I don't know. I really don't care why either. But now we're going back to Scott Steiner, who was the U.S. champion, taking on Mike Awesome. And this match was actually Scott Steiner match was okay. By this time, he could barely move. Yeah. And he was so addled with drugs that you never knew if he was going to snap or not. So people treated him with kid gloves, even though he was a cream puff. And the Steiner recliner had been banned for reasons. Again,
reasons.
And Ernest Miller comes out with the microphone twice and tells Scott Steiner, "Don't do it! Don't you do it!" And as soon as he put the Steiner recliner on Mike Awesome, he made the referee ring the bell, took the U.S. title from Medeja, and walked off with no other explanation given. I think this was a schmoz. I don't even know who won.
Yeah, this actually, they gave the match to Steiner even though he got stripped of the title. I gave this 2 stars because I'm being generous today.
That's what I did. My thing here says 2 stars, but. And the but is all the garbage all the way through this entire show. They made these matches mean nothing because there was so much other garbage going on around.
Right, and you know, this was around the time when Billionaire Ted was talking about selling his company when this went down. That's why this whole, show really fits.
Yep.
You know why it looks so crappy.
No, please no.
Yeah, we're
not doing it.
Yes.
Can we save this for last? No, please, not now. No. Okay. Fine, I'll get it out of the way.
Okay, can I do it? All right. Because this was the knockoff version of what WWF would try to do. This was called the Graveyard Match with Vampiro taking on the Demon with Asia. Yeah, knockoff totally. How you going to try to name a whole other country and steal from China? Yet, and this match here, yeah, it really sucked. Let me tell you, it was just god awful. The Demon, I know he was supposed to be from Kiss and everything, and I love Kiss. Kiss rocks, but this guy sucked. And this was one of the crappiest matches. Let me tell you, when you have to take a concrete brick and you hit a guy over the head, and then the Demon seems to magically just put himself in the casket, you flip over the casket and set it on fire. How you won this match was coming back to the arena. Let me just tell you, it was garbage. It was an F-. It was total crap.
Can this be your two-finger salute? I think
No.
this deserves a full fist salute.
Oh, no.
There's worse than this.
There is worse than this.
All right, let me compose.
And believe me, my hand is twitching for wanting to give it to it, but no.
Let me compose myself here for a second. All right, so the story is that the Demon, he's already no longer the Kiss Demon. Kiss has already pulled its endorsement of it. And in fact, they didn't even call him the Demon throughout this match. They called him Dale Torborg. Or Jeff Torborg. And he and Dale Torborg are athletic trainers for baseball teams. Dale, or Jeff, or whichever one, I don't care which, decided to try his hand at wrestling. And he was supposedly engaged to Asia. And so this match was a cinema match that's supposed to take place in a graveyard, but there's not one single casket. And we've brought up many times how poor the production value was of WCW. This match, you couldn't see anything. The only light you could see was from Charles Robinson's flashlight.
Oh my God, yeah. And production value, it sucked!
And then they had they fought their Vampiro grabs Asia and walks off with her, and Torborg follows her, and then Vampiro jumps out of a river.
Yes.
And they fight some more, and we get the brilliant announce team of Scott Hudson, Tony Schiavone, and Mark Madden actually thinking the Demon had drowned.
It was so
bad. And then we get Vampiro comes out of the casket, which was a bright blue casket. It was the only thing you could see. And sprayed some kind of liquid, hit him with the foam cinder block, and threw him into the casket, dumped it, and then walked off, cutting some horrible promo about killing Sting and killing the Demon.
Hold on. Look, we're going to stop there because we're going to pan to Shane Douglas. This is what the production team did. They didn't even care what happened. There was no emotion in this. That he got buried in a casket, flipped over in fire. No emotion from the production team. No emotion from the commentary team. So this match right now gets an incomplete because it's not done yet. Yeah, it's not done. Like I said, they went to Shane Douglas to talk about his match, which came up next. Buff Bagwell taking on the franchise Shane Douglas.
My notes on this match are why. Supposedly, Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas had been a tag team, and they won the tag titles, and because of reasons, they fell apart, lost the tag team title, lost their chemistry. So we get the dynamic dudes against the American males.
Pretty much. You know.
And the thing I'm going to say about this match, I know now why this generation is stupid. Buff Bagwell got kicked in the nuts 3 times, and the referee was looking at him every time. So obviously it wasn't a big deal. So everybody just kicked everybody in the nuts, and that's why we've got stupid children. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, and look, back in the days, I was a huge franchise Shane Douglas fan. I loved watching him work from the ECW days back in the NWA days, to even currently there.
Yeah, and I wrestled for a company in Pennsylvania called Lancaster Championship Wrestling, and Shane Douglas was the champion there. And Shane Douglas always would sit down with you, always talk to you, always put on great matches. He has a bad reputation for people that don't know him, but people that know him, class act.
Yeah, I mean, so he definitely gets a pass off of this, but geez, I mean, I gave it 2 stars. I felt like this was just, you know, after seeing the whole Demon match, it really, my focus was not on this match. It was just god-awful to see that match before, but this one, you know, took a little taste out of it.
I gave it 1.5, but I'm going to upgrade with you based on what you said. I'll give it 2 stars as well. Again, to show that we have everything going on besides a wrestling match, Tori Wilson came down there, slapped Shane Douglas, then kissed Bagwell, then nutshotted Bagwell, and then kissed Shane Douglas at the end because she was with Shane Douglas. Again, for reasons. And now, to my 2-finger salute! Jeff Jarrett against Hulk Hogan for the world title. And they rolled Michael Buffer out for this.
Why?
Because they were trying to put over this. This is the infamous Jeff Jarrett Hulk Hogan match where Jeff Jarrett laid down and Hogan put a boot on him. And then I'm going to break the code and let you know what's coming up. We're going to be talking about the shoot, other words, which when we get there, that's going to be my kayfabe word of the day, but we'll do that when we get there.
Yeah, this match here, this was straight garbage. I'm just going to tell you. You had Jeff Jarrett's music playing for like almost 2 minutes, 3 minutes, panning all over the crowd. No Jeff Jarrett comes out. All of a sudden, Vinny Roo decides to walk down the aisle, then Jeff Jarrett stands there on the aisle. You know, Hogan comes down, cuts his little promo about, I'm going to kick your ass for Kevin Nash and all this. Eventually they get in the ring. As soon as the bell rings, Jeff lays out flat for him. And then they cut their promos.
Well, they didn't yet, but Russo threw the belt in, and Hogan puts the foot on and walks off. And then we get 5 more minutes of Mark Madden and Tony Schiavone and Scott Hudson. And watching that 5 minutes, I realized something. Mark Madden actually has a fan and a current WWE ring announcer or play-by-play color commentary guy. I can see young 8-year-old Corey Graves sitting there going, you know what? That's what I want to be when I grow up, because they do exactly the same shtick. And neither one of them do it right, because they both haven't learned to say no evil. Good God.
This match for me gets 0 stars, and may God have mercy on their souls for even thinking of doing this.
I gave it an incomplete because the shoot has not happened yet.
Yeah, oh my God, this was just god-awful. You know,
so,
shame on you, Hulk Hogan. Yeah, 2 fingers right to you, buddy, and this whole match.
So then we get Vampiro come walking back in, and you see Hulk Hogan walking away with his kids holding the belt. You see a young Brooke and a young Nick Hogan walking away holding the belt. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So,
and then we pan back to Vampiro. He enters the building.
The blue lights.
The blue lights.
Again, no production value. And we get some people wearing black robes. I'm not even going to call them because The Undertaker did it well. This wasn't done so well.
Yeah, this was Wish List WWF show.
And they brought down a casket. Well, we get Sting very obviously coming out of the casket, doing something to Vampiro, throwing Vampiro in, and then they spend the next 2.5 minutes cameraing like this, looking at an unconscious Vampiro, seeing if he's going to break and chuckle. I'm not kidding. Don't watch the show. Just take our word for it to see if you can find the meme, or just find that little 2.5 minutes on YouTube. But other than that, do not watch this entire pay-per-view.
Oh my God.
Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stop doing this, because right now I can't. I need help. Oh my God.
Yeah, this was horrible. I gave this 1 star. I mean, this is why they failed. Production value, production value, production value. I couldn't see nothing except flashing lights.
Well, and something that WWF has been accused of, they've taken stars and they don't know what to do with them. Vampiro was a big deal in Mexico.
Yes, he was.
Vampiro was a big, big deal up there with Conan, Rey Mysterio, El Hijo de los Santos. Big deal in Mexico. And they brought him in and he did this.
Yeah.
I gave it a 1/4 star. The only reason I gave it a 1/4 star, we both kind of agreed, no 0-star matches, because sometimes it's not the talent's fault, it's the writer's fault. So the talent showed up, the writers abused them this badly.
Yeah. Hogan, you're still getting a 0-star. I'm still upset on this show, I swear to God.
All right, so now we get into, so I'm going to just start it off right now with the kayfabe word of the day. Kayfabe word of the day, I'm going to give you 3. You're going to get work, shoot, and worked shoot. Work is when the two people are working together trying to obtain and complete a common goal. Wrestling a match together where you want one person to win over the other is a work. Somebody changing the titles is a work. So that's what happens when you work together. That's why it's called, in a lot of terms, you'll hear it called working. The wrestlers are working together. Then there's the shoot. Now, a true shoot is real life. Real life as in somebody getting punched in the face and then the two of them start rolling around on the ring. That's a shoot. When a wrestler gets hurt and you see the X sign, that's a shoot because the match immediately stops to make sure that that person who got hurt gets immediate medical attention.
Don't take that. It's 90% of the time, because sometimes they try to throw that into an angle.
Sometimes they do, but for the most part, an X sign, watch what they do, but it's probably real. They try not to do it too much.
Yeah.
And then we get what we got here today, a worked shoot, which is the two guys are mad at each other, but they are working together for a common goal, usually. But in this case, this was supposed to be a work shoot, and depends on who you talk to. There's 500 different stories about this. Neither one of us were there.
No.
So I'm going to go with what seems to be the most plausible to me. Hulk Hogan did have creative control over what would happen, and Hogan wanted to win the title from Jeff Jarrett. Hogan's always felt Jeff Jarrett was never marketable. I'm not talking about my opinion now, I'm talking about Hulk Hogan's opinion. Yeah. Hulk Hogan has always had a problem with people smaller than him. He didn't work Bret Hart for the same reason. So he felt he was bigger, he was stronger, he should beat Jeff Jarrett. So they came up with a storyline where Jarrett would lay down, Hogan would be upset, walk off with the belt, they'd put a new belt on somebody else. 6 months later, Hogan would come back and it'd have something similar to the Razor Ramon Scott Hall 2 Intercontinental ladder match, where the two would fight over the belt and unify the belt. The problem was Hogan has a small ego. Vince Russo cut a, well, very mean-spirited, very appropriate promo, work shoot. And the only thing that I can seem to gather that he did that Hogan didn't like was called him bald. He sued him for defamation of character. Hogan sued WCW, naming specifically Vince Russo's promo, that he tried to violate the contract that they signed and defamed his character by calling him bald. 4 years later, for whatever, some people say it was thrown out, some people say they settled out of court. I like to believe none of the above, I just don't care.
Yes.
I think the judge said, what the hell am I doing, and just swept it under the table.
Yeah, this promo I thought was really good because it was very innovative, but at the same time, it kind of killed the business. You know, it was very bad to break out stuff like this. You know, you want to keep the magic in wrestling.
Yes.
I mean, I would say the commentary team was confused, but this was their normal talk.
This was their normal talk, and they actually started breaking kayfabe as well by things like they were holding up book going, this wasn't talked about in our production meeting. This wasn't what we were talking about. This wasn't the plan that we were supposed to have. They were actually breaking kayfabe on national television.
Yeah. Because of the precedence of it, I'm going to give it about a 2.5 stars because it is still talked about to this day.
I couldn't be that generous. Vince Russo, like I said, the promo, while mean-spirited, was appropriate. The angle itself, we don't know, so the whole angle gets an incomplete. I'm only giving it 1 star because while it was talked about and is still remembered to this day, there are other things still talked about to this day that are not good. Draws getting paralyzed is still talked about today, but it's not good.
It's not good, you're right.
So I'm only giving this one, the match and the promo get 1 star.
Jesus, the promo got beat out the match. That's just what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, because the match I'm also going to give a 0 star because,
Pretty much.
Reasons.
Yeah, moving on here. Semi-main event here. Kevin Nash taking on Goldberg for Scott Hall's contract.
Yeah, this is the outsiders in the NWO had become faces, good guys. Goldberg was now the heel, the bad guy, because he thinks he carried WCW on his shoulder for 2 years and was upset that all he cared about the business and ate and slept and bred the business, even though he doesn't. He felt that the outsiders got everything and they insulted the wrestling business he loved so much. He spent 9 months on the couch while he complained for a shoulder injury, looking to get a pay raise.
Yeah, we got heel Goldberg. We're getting ready to see him this Sunday here at the Royal Rumble. Oh my God! 20 years later.
Oh, you put floor polish on a turd, you get old turd.
You sure do.
In this match, Goldberg as a heel, no. Kevin Nash working, no. This stupid. I hate to use Randall Keith's phrase when he attacked Kofi Kingston, but it's appropriate. Stupid! Yeah. Stupid!
It was
and then what made it even worse was, I don't even remember who came. Somebody came out and did something.
Big Papa Pump!
Oh, that's right. Big Papa Pump, who was supposed to watch Nash's back, and he hit him in the back.
Yeah, this match here, I gave it 1.5 stars. I get it. We all knew Scott Hall had an alcohol problem and they needed to get him out of there. To make a storyline out of it really wasn't that great of an idea.
Yeah, proof positive is a few years later they tried to have Hawk get removed from the Legion of Doom because he had an alcohol and drug problem. The thing about wrestling, as he said, is to suspend real life, suspend disbelief. This should not have been made. Goldberg should not have been in this one. If he claims to respect the business like he told Drew McIntyre, this should never have happened. And Goldberg himself should never have happened. He should go away. So, I also gave it 1.5.
Yeah, you gave it 1.5. I want to take a deep breath here. You know why? Because the main event here, I'm giving my Quack Attack! You know why? Because this was the best match outside of the opening match. Really, it was like 2 pieces of bread, the beginning and end of this show, with a big pile of shit in the middle. Booker T took on Jeff Jarrett for the World Heavyweight title. And I gotta tell you, I was happy to see Booker T finally get that push.
And I'm gonna tell you how little the crowd cared about the whole thing that led up to this match.
Because they ate so much shit!
Well, to give you a more tangible, they booed Michael Buffer. They did. It isn't that they didn't care about this match. They cared about everything. They didn't care about everything. Got to this point, and the Buffer calling it an amazing night is what caused the referee or caused the crowd to boo. It really did. And Shivani and Madden and Scott Hudson at this point, they didn't care. You could tell they didn't care. They were stealing our job. They sounded more like a podcast.
Yeah.
I really felt like quoting South Park. They took our job!
much.
Oh, and then you could tell they had this, when they pulled out the book that was this thick, there was 3 times when I thought back to this, where Mark Madden or Tony Schiavone said, hey, they're in blood, they're covered in blood, and there's no blood on it. I mean, it was that kind of god-awful night.
Yes, it was totally an F. But this match here, I liked it. It went about 15, I believe. And, you know, I actually felt like this was showcasing Booker T very well. And this also explained why Vince McMahon kept Booker T throughout the years, you know, in the WWE. And
yes.
It really did.
This was the first title win of his 5-time championship reigns.
Damn, you know how to count that high. Good job. I'm telling you, I'm impressed here.
Yeah, this match was decent. I only gave it 2 3/4. I probably should have rated it higher because the match was good. I just couldn't. This is one of those that the production of the entire night just drug this match down. I mean, you could even tell Jeff Jarrett and Booker T didn't really like this match.
Yeah, they wanted to get out of that building. And just like that, we want to get out of here because, trust me, that pay-per-view almost killed us.
No, the worst thing of all is the crowd did like everything they saw, and they were there till the end.
Yeah, that was amazing. So those people that were able to stick around and watch that pay-per-view.
All right, so now I need to go take some more medicine so I don't hang myself, so go ahead and get us out of here.
Yeah, I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
And I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem, and please, for the love of God, just watch this review. Do not watch this thing on the network.
And I'm out.
Holy It pissed me off more the more we talked about it.